Well, good afternoon. Welcome. We wanted to spend a few minutes here to share with you how to use a COVID-19 exposure control plan template that we just released. And with me today is Brian from Optimum. FCA International Optimum have been partnered for quite a few years now. So they've been doing all of our safety stuff, safety manual, toolbox talks, all that stuff behind the scenes, and you've probably seen their logo on a lot of stuff with us. So anyways, happy to have you here, Brian. I just want to take a few minutes because there probably is going to be some questions. This is a 31-page document. There is a lot of forms and stuff at the back. So there's about 20 pages of real content people need to know, but I want to make sure that everybody understands how to customize this and use it to their benefit. As contractors are going to need this, it's required for them to have a control plan like this of some sort. So Brian, first, let's start off. Why do contractors need this? What's the purpose and why did we spend the time to do this?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you everyone for taking time to watch this video. We hope that this exposure control plan is useful and it brings value to your organization. As Tony mentioned, in many jurisdictions, you're required to have an exposure control plan on file if you're performing work in those jurisdictions. We know there's federal level requirements, there's state level, regional, and even with some general contractors, they have their specific requirements as well. So Optimum Safety, partnering with FCA, has developed this plan so that it will function in all those roles, meeting the needs that your organizations have. Just in general, if you think about this, why do we need to have an exposure control plan? COVID-19 is among us. People are getting sick. Some people are dying very tragically. But we need to all be doing what we can do to control the exposure and help our country get through these troubled times. But also it's important to remember that your employees are looking to you as leaders and they want to know that you have a plan for keeping them safe while continuing with essential operations. It wasn't all that long ago, people were struggling to find good qualified employees. Now you have them. Now is not the time for them to lose faith in your ability to lead them through this difficult time. You need to have a good, solid plan. You need to train them on the plan, and they need to have confidence that you have their best interests in their mind. So using the template, I'll just get into the logistics. This first page is just meant to be deleted. All it has is some instructions on how to use the template. Throughout the document, we use placeholders like company name, I date, and R date. And you'll see, you can go through the document. It's just a Word document. You can do a find and replace and start deleting out those placeholders. I'll get through those legally. So here you have company name. If you do a find and replace, you plug in your company name, it'll swap it out through the whole document. Also, we have a spot in the very front of the document where you can put in your own logo, make this custom to your company. If you don't have a logo, you can just go ahead and delete this box. All these things are set up to be very simple for you. You just do a delete, it goes away. The I date is your implementation date. The R date is revision date. So we can keep track of this document as it evolves over time. I'll just quickly run through it, some of the main headers. If you get right to this page, implementation of the exposure control plan, you see some very common topics, signs and symptoms, action steps, what you can do to reduce the spread of the infection, protecting your employees, and so on and so on. As Tony had alluded to, this is about a 20-page document. There are a number of forms at the back that we hope you will find useful, but I'll just run you down through this. Signs and symptoms of COVID infection, action steps, things you can do, CDC guidelines, limiting the spread of the infection in the workplace with concepts such as social distancing, limiting visitors, limiting travel, reducing transmission among employees, hygienic practices, hand sanitization, cross-contamination, protecting employees with personal protective equipment, what role that can play, respirator masks and voluntary use of masks versus improvised face coverings, barrier device usage, supervision of protective measures. One concept you will see in this plan is the concept of a COVID-19 supervisor. Like any good plan, you can have a great plan and you can implement it well, but if there's not somebody assigned to follow up on it and make sure that it's still working, it'll quickly fall by the wayside. So we took this concept from Los Angeles area. Their requirement there is that you have a COVID-19 supervisor on site at all time. We took that same idea and turned it into a best practice. And what we're saying is you need to anoint some of your leaders to be their COVID supervisors and alternate supervisors. And we'll explain that a little bit more. But when you get to a spot like this, we're telling you to update the table and then just delete out this yellow box. If you're going to use temperature check protocols, then you'd want to go ahead and customize a section like this in the green. If not, you delete this box and all the green, and the document just lives on. Implementing hazardous control measures, we got sections on that. Medical information, record keeping, if you do end up with an employee who ends up COVID confirmed as positive, whether or not that has implications for OSHA record keeping. Of course, there's a section on training, social distancing guidelines, workplace mitigation guidelines. So this is all just meant to be check boxes. You can run through these. Visitor authorization form. This is a means of helping prevent the spread of COVID-19 by limiting the number of people that come onto your site. But that doesn't mean you have to stop everybody from coming on site. Certainly, you're going to need some visitors to be able to have access to your location, but trying to decide which ones make sense and which ones don't. You don't want to just try to say that you'll allow no one on site. Well, we know that's not true. You have to let some people in. This is a form that can be used if you're going to implement temperature checks with your employees. Here's a checklist for assisting an infected employee. If you think you have an employee on site that may be infected with COVID-19, here's the steps you can go through to help them. CDC guidelines for COVID infection, excuse me. This is meant to be given to an ill or suspect ill employee if they are leaving the site. This is available in English and Spanish as well. So if you have an employee show up, you think they may be sick, they may think they may be sick, you're going to send them back home. The first question in their mind is going to be, well, what do I do now? I'm no longer at work, but I may be sick. Do I go directly to the emergency room? You can hand them these 2 pages to give them some guidance. And here it is in Spanish. Here's your exposure control planning checklist, the steps that you should take. Here's a checklist for your supervisor. So your COVID-19 supervisor can use these. And it continues. Daily attendance log. This is a requirement we're seeing coming out of the state of Oregon, that they want you to be listing who's been on your site every day. Public health agencies will use this information if it turns out that there is in fact someone COVID-19 has found to have been on your work site. This allows them to keep track of who's been there and how to track that person down to help control the spread. We're taking this as a best practice, but it may be a requirement in your jurisdiction. And that's the document. So the first thing I recommend is get someplace quiet, sit down, read the whole document, even if it hasn't been customized yet. Just read it, understand what you're signing up for and what measures are indicated. Take a little time, do the customizing of it, and you're ready to go with implementation. You've got to choose who your COVID supervisors are going to be, and then you have to train everybody. You have to train all of your employees on the contents of the plan, and then you also have to give some additional training to your COVID supervisors. That can be done a number of ways. You can develop your own training. Optimum Safety, in partnership with FCA, has some online training available for you. We have some toolbox talks that can be used in both English and Spanish. help reinforce the key messages from the plan. Tony, do you have any questions?
No, Brian, I think well, I know you've done a great job. We appreciate the work you guys have put on this. And for the contractors out there, this is a requirement. This exposure control plan is of COVID-19. And hopefully we only have to use this for a little while, but right now it is definitely needed to keep people safe on the job sites. Obviously, this has been come at from a perspective of the contractors. And we do think there's not only pretty much, I guess, Brian, just ensure the contractors have everything in here. And I think you said it up front, that both the CDC, OSHA, all those requirements, the things that are in here have been taken into special consideration to make sure that the steps in here would allow work to continue with trying to do as much to prevent any kind of reduction, any kind of spread of the disease, and then how to handle it if there was an affected person onto the job site, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we built the whole plan with our partners at FCA, but everything is modeled off CDC and OSHA requirements. We looked at other sources, World Health Organization, National Institute of Health. We looked at Canadian requirements as well, and we are coming out with a Canadian version of this plan. Should be available soon. And then we've picked some best practices from some of our partners, that people we know in the industry in different jurisdictions. The one thing you're always going to have to be mindful of, it is possible that your specific municipality or region of the country may have additional requirements. And one of the things you have to do is make sure you're staying up on those local requirements. It's virtually impossible for us to write a document that will work in every jurisdiction across the United States and Canada. This is a very good base document, and it should serve 99% of the situations. But it is possible that you might have a local requirement somewhere that we're unaware of.
Excellent, Brian. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And again, go to FCAinternational.org to get updates. We will be providing updates as things are fluid with this. And if you haven't requested your copy to customize for your company yet, because we've had many of those, again, go to FCAinternational.org, go to our website, and we will get that to you. So Brian, thank you very much, and appreciate all the help on this. And to the contractors out there, good luck, and we'll continue to be here for you. Take care.
Thank you.